Hey guys, no intro today. Sorry, I need to get right down to business with today's show. If you have not seen this show before, this is The Rational Male. In fact, where's my... There it is. I'm Rollo Tomassi. I am the author of the Rational Male book series. The first one, of course, is The Rational Male, which is what has been referred to as the Bible of the manosphere, the Bible of intersexual dynamics. I don't feel too self-conscious about calling it that because I'm not the one that came up with that. A lot of other people have. I wanted to start out today's show, just jump right into things here, because there's a tweet by Elon Musk today, and a little bit cryptic, I think, but maybe not so cryptic. I realize this is going to be a little off topic, but bear with me. It's actually kind of on topic for what we're going to talk about today. Elon, if you are watching this show right now, I wanted to express my, I don't say condolences, but I would like to express my gratitude. And I would also like to give you a signed copy of The Rational Male. I live in Reno, Nevada. I am all of about 10 minutes away, maybe 15 minutes away from the Gigafactory in Sparks, Nevada. I can be there and give you a signed copy of my first book. Here it is, The Rational Male. And the reason why I want to do that is because it seems to me right now you're a little bit more open to red pill ideas, what we call praxology. And part of that praxology is this, and I've been racking my brain as to what I could say to you for a quick 2-minute video. And as most of my viewers know, I'm not a short spoken person, I guess. However, I think probably the biggest problem and the biggest obstacle that you have in your personal life and your personal success right now is that you are beholden to the soulmate myth. You're beholden to what we would call one-itis, but let's just call it the soulmate myth for right now. This is the romantic ideal that there is one person for one person out there. I've read your interview with Neil Strauss. I understand you were going through a breakup at that time. I don't know if it was with Amber Heard or another girl. And now here you are again with your new girlfriend and have a new child. And I think that it's interesting that in the wake of the birth of your new child, that these tweets are coming out. So with that said, I wanted to invite you to read my book. I'll just simply come and give it to you for free and talk to you. I'd love to talk to you, face to face. I'm right here, like I said, in the area. My message to you at this point is remember that there is no one. There are some good ones and there are some bad ones. And I think that probably one of the biggest hindrances in your personal life right now is that you believe that there's one person out there for you who's going to be your ideal lover, your ideal mother of your children, the ideal woman to be in your life. And I think that that has probably been a hindering belief for you for a very long time. There is no one. There are some good ones and there are some bad ones, but there is no one. And if I had one message for you to sort of take home, that would be it. Remember that there is no one. You'll live a much better life for that. Okay, well, with that said, I was just going to let you guys know, I'm probably going to do a one, I'm hoping Elon's watching this, right? I'm hoping to do, I will do a quick hit, like one-off video here that I'll probably put out and we'll see how things go. I think a lot of people are talking about Elon Musk right now because he tweeted out one quick hit tweet that said, take the red pill, and it had some little red rose next to it. So this is one of those times where I'm very frustrated with the term red pill or the definition of what the red pill is, because you've got this viral tweet that's going off right now about what did he mean? What did he mean? It's like everybody hangs on every word. And the word in this case happens to be red pill. So what is he talking about? Is he talking about, uprooting his business from California, moving it to Texas? Or is he talking about his relationship with Grimes right now? About a week and a half ago, somebody can correct me. About a week and a half ago, We had another tweet from him saying that his girlfriend was mad at him, and how we're really cryptic, kind of like sound like he might have been drunk tweeting. I don't know if he's drunk, but like kind of maybe high, high tweeting, because I know he smokes weed, right? So, he's going through something, right? And it's probably sending shockwaves through his, certainly through the markets right now. Just hanging on his every word. And I kind of like Elon. I do. I seen him on Joe Rogan. I've read the Rolling Stone interview, like I was saying, with him and Neil Strauss. And during that interview, Elon was going through a breakup, and he had to like cut the interview short or whatever. And Neil Strauss is a very good writer. You say what you want to about his personal life, but he's a very good writer, and he picked up on this, and I think he captured it fairly well, what was going on at that time. So it's interesting to me right now that we're starting to see like high profile guys starting to understand intersexual dynamics in a new way, or at least they're questioning it. So I hate to talk about Harry all the time, because I talked about Prince Harry, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, or no, Dump Your Girlfriend. I talked about it last week, right? And it was just, it was a peripheral thing. It was just something I was adding on to that show, because I was going to talk about, how to know when to dump your girlfriend. And it was right at that time that Harry comes out saying, I'm very lonely and my life is upside down, and I'm in Los Angeles. I'm no longer the prince. I'm dealing with, this entitled little princess who is 4 years older than him, divorced once, and is basically a B-list actress. And now he wonders why his life is in upheaval. Well, Harry, if you're watching this, your life is in upheaval because you believe in the same crap that Elon Musk does. You believe in the same thing. There is there's a she's your perfect girl. I can't believe I found her. I can't believe a girl this perfect would find a guy like me attractive at all. You're a prince, dude. Elon, you're a prince too. I'm a prince. You're all princes. Why the hell? Why is this even something that comes up? Like I've said this a million times before, and people throw rocks at me because they say, you don't know Prince Harry, or you don't know Elon Musk, or you don't know any of these people. So how do you think you can speak authoritatively? And I'll tell you why I can, because I see the goddamn patterns. That's why. I've seen that for 20 years now. That's why. I've seen men put nooses around their necks. I've seen them swallow bullets. Well, not personally swallow bullets, but I've seen them with nooses around their necks, and it kills me that here we are now in 2020, and guys are just starting to wake up to this. Guys with high profile guys, anyways. I don't expect I'll ever get through to a guy like Jeff Bezos. There's too much money in between that. But the message is the same. You want to know what hinders you, what blocks you? Like, I need to go find spiritual enlightenment. I need to find meaning in life. No, you don't. You need to just get rid. I'm almost swore. You need to get rid of that blue pill conditioned ideal that's in your head. That's your biggest obstacle right now, Harry. That's your biggest obstacle, Elon. Your biggest obstacle is that you still believe in this idealistic idea of love. You still believe that like women will love you for who you are rather than what you are. Come on, man. You're a prince. You're Elon Musk. You're Jeff Bezos. You got a lot of money. Yeah. Yeah, of course he wants you for what you are. Dirty Sanchez. Lawrence Sanchez wants you, Jeff Bezos, because you got a lot of scratch, man. You're almost a trillionaire. You blow off a $36 billion divorce like it was nothing. Yeah, of course. I'm surprised there aren't like 4 or 5 Lawrence Sanchez's like lining up right now. I'm surprised. Elon, at least there's hope for you, man. At least there's hope. Damn it, I'm here in Reno. Come and say hi. I'll come say hi. I'll come. We'll go to Squeeze In, man. We'll go somewhere around here. That's a restaurant that's around here. We'll go. Hopefully it's open, right? I would love to sit down and just have coffee or whatever and say, where's all this going? What are you doing? Like, well, who are you? You're just some Yahoo that has a book. Well, I'll tell you that it's a book that's been around for a long time and it saved a lot of lives. So That's my message right there. Sorry, I hate to get off like on a bad foot here. I mean, I'm on a bad foot, but I mean, just like I'm in hot, man. I'm sorry. I just got a little hot today. And we got a windstorm that's blowing through here, so maybe that's having an effect on my attitude too. All right, guys. No, I won't. Sorry, I'm not going to play any lead-in music today. I know you guys like that. It's funny because I have guys in my comments saying, "Oh, we love the music," and then I got guys going, "Oh, you don't want to play that death metal." Well, you know what? Screw you. Whatever. I'm going to do what I want to do. If you're going to sit here and you're going to listen to my message, that's basically how it works. I need to do some more quick hit one-off videos. I've realized that's something I really need to get started pretty soon. I don't know. I'm in a weird place right now, simply because I think maybe the book is doing it to me right now. The 4th book is getting really, really close. And when I get close to finishing a book, I get real. I'm usually a really easygoing guy. I think pretty much everybody who knows me knows that. But like when I get close to finishing a book, I get really perfectionist. And I'm not really like the most perfectionist. I mean, when it comes to my art, I'm very much of a perfectionist. But like if I'm dealing with people, I'm hanging out and whatever, I'm not like this. What do you want? What do you want? These high-profile male discover and propagate red pill awareness, mainstream male gender, and therefore awaken how you think woman will react to chameleon shape shift and discredit the red pill knowledge. They won't because they can't. That's why. We're going to talk about that today. Actually, I'm going to tell you why you should never. On today's show, I'm going to tell you exactly why you should never reveal the red pill to any woman that you actually have any kind of and any woman that you want to become involved with. We're going to talk a little bit about what's called the observer effect today. Observer effect is that observing a process will change that process. So I'm just going to say this from the outset, guys. I'm not even going to put the banner across here. If you don't have an on-topic super chat or a question or whatever today, I'm going to save it till the end. I might not even get to it. Okay. So if I don't get to it, feel free to email me and say, hey, I got to my email or my super chat. I'll answer you. I'd be happy to have. I always aim to please. Right. So anyways, yeah, well, let me explain to you. Let me give you a bit of information, Miguel. No, I don't think so, and I think that guys are waking up right now. I know I've heard certain, let's just say, luminaries in the MGTOW circles say that if you took away the red pill, if you took away MGTOW, you took away MRA, you took away all this manosphere stuff right now, guys are still getting it. And guess what? Guys are going to wake up, whether Rollo Tomassi tells them to wake up, or Turd Flinging Monkey tells them to wake up, or Rich Cooper, or anybody else who tells them to wake up. Guess you erase that, you take everybody away, and you close out the manosphere today. Guys are still it's unignorable right now. So when I watch Elon, people will throw me like links and say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Do you think we'd be on Mars by now if he was married? Do you think we'd be on Mars? Do you think we would have a colony on Jupiter? Right? Remember he said that? If he could get his personal life straightened out, I don't know. But I do know that he follows a pattern that I've been watching in men for the last 20 years. Same thing with Prince Harry. People kept saying, oh, Prince Harry, you want him to die. You think he's going to kill himself. I'm not, no, but he's certainly showing all of the cues and all of the behaviors and all of the mental, rationalizations and everything else. And, oh, I'm lonely in LA. Yeah, of course you are. You're following the script to the letter, man. Yes. Yes. I don't want you to die. I really don't. I don't want anybody. That's why I do this. That's why I started doing this. That's why I wrote this book. That's why I put all this stuff into writing, man. I don't want you to die, but it looks like you might. Hope you don't. Gosh. What do you want, man? How do you go stealth in your professional life with Karens? With all that the Sigma approach seems ideal. Well, I don't think you know what the Sigma approach is. I don't think most people who call themselves Sigmas really even understand what Sigma is. Sigma male. Somebody sent me that, and I think I kind of agree with this because I was trying to like kind of nail down what the Sigma archetype is. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's like alpha, beta, delta. It's Vox Day's sociosexual hierarchies. I did a show. If you really want to, what's that all about? Go and look on my video. You'll find it. Okay, don't make me hold your hand. I did a video a few weeks ago about sociosexual hierarchies by Vox Day, and I thought it was pretty good actually. But so the Sigma archetype is sort of like the rebel or the maverick, maverick individualist alpha, the guy who doesn't care what society says, the guy who's still alpha and women really want to get with him. And of course, everybody wants to be that dude. They all want to be Batman. Nobody wants to be Superman anymore, right? Nobody wants to be the good guy. They want to be the rebel. They want to be the vigilante alpha. I don't know if that even the vigilante alpha, I don't think that necessarily defines the Sigma. Maybe it does. But somebody said that that the Punisher, like from Marvel, like we're looking for superheroes, right? The Punisher is a Sigma male, which means he's an alpha, but he's like makes his own rules kind of guy. Which again, vigilante, right? So there you go. There is your lot. Oh, Jesus Christ, you guys are going to hit me with these all day long, aren't you? Bill says, in the corporate environment, how do men just get it when it comes to female bosses and work? You don't bother with female bosses. Don't try to, okay, hear me out first, like listen to the rest of this, but just to sort of preface this a little bit, you don't want to try to your goal isn't for your female boss to just get it about you. Okay. You'll understand what I'm saying about that in a minute, but that's the short answer. That's the very brief non-Rollo Tomassi answer for you. You should go to Rogan's podcast and share the red pill. I would love to. I would love to, but you know what? That is never going to happen because I think I'm too hot for Joe Rogan. And I know that sounds like I'm glossing myself or I'm being conceited. No, what I think is like I would probably say something that would really piss off Joe. And the first thing I would say is that, if you are married a single mother and you're raising children that are not your own, that you are not parentally responsible for, that you did not, sire on your own, you basically have elected, you have elected cuckoldry is what that is. The definition of cuckoldry is assuming parental investment of children that are not your own. And women actually a full, gynocentric social order will tell you, you're a hero for doing that. And I'm sure he probably believes that he's a hero. And the moment that came out of my mouth, I'd probably take one across the chin. Right. So I don't know. I doubt. I would love to. And I of course, I would talk about more than just that, but we'll see someday. Joe Rogan doesn't run his own Twitter, is from what I have been told. So, yeah, I would love to. Okay, so today's topic, by the way, here we go. Would you be too hot for Brian Rose at London Real? Brian Rose's show just got canceled or is soon to be canceled. And the answer to that question, Mark Gordon, is no, because Nick Krauser has been on London Real before Brian decided to kick off his old partner, who actually made the show worth watching. And I think, ever since, like, I used to watch London Real and I thought it was good because they actually took Nick Krauser seriously in Day Game, and Nick brought up my work and brought up my book because my book I think it was just out at that time. And I wouldn't be against it, but I think that at some point Brian figured out the template. So he'll go and he'll talk to somebody like Elliot Hulse, and he's really into the woo-woo magical thinking kind of thing. He's really into, right now he is anyways. I don't know, maybe he wasn't in the beginning, but now he certainly seems that way from what I can see. I mean, Brian Rose, well, Elliot's always been that way, but Brian Rose, it's conspiracy theory stuff. Like he's all about, what's his name? Ike. Once the 5G thing came out and the coronavirus stuff was coming out, and that was hot material, man. You couldn't even talk about COVID. You couldn't even say COVID because the YouTube algorithm would pick it up and it would ban your site or would, disqualify you certainly from monetization. Now it's okay, but it has to be according to their rules. And that's kind of out of my wheelhouse anyways. But I think the template for success, right, is out there, and if you're willing to follow it and sort of like jigger it so it works for your for what it is that you think is your niche. And right now, I think I think he said, like, he just did a video on YouTube where he was saying that he was going to get booted off. So if you really want to, archive any of his old videos, now's the time to do it, kind of thing. I don't think he's going to stop, but remember, these are people who've made a living and made a very good living off of YouTube's platform. And now, I wouldn't even really consider the guy, quote unquote, red pill, but he's going to get booted off because he's saying things, or he's communicating information that YouTube doesn't want them to communicate. Fortunately, I'm still below. I'm not even at 41,000 subs. And by the way, if you haven't subbed, sub right now. But yeah, like, fortunately, I think I'm still kind of under the radar. I don't even have as much as like some of these other red pill hacks. So anyways, today I'm going to talk about Just Get It. And I have had lots of requests for this. What do I mean when I say Just Get It? Just Get It, by the way, is a chapter that is in book 1. It's kind of one of my older essays that I wrote. It is definitely an idea that I kind of hashed out in my So Suave days. And let's see, what is this? Okay, there you go. There's your $5, Miguel. We're all crumbling. We're all going to hell. Okay. Well, in the meantime, I'm going to tell you what Just Get It means. I wrote I actually had what was it? The first essay that I wrote was actually why you shouldn't take women's advice seriously, particularly when it comes to dating. And I've talked about this on Rule Zero. I've talked about this on this show. I've talked about this on actually probably even other show. I think probably other shows I've talked. Let me push myself up there. So when I was talking about female dating advice, and people kept saying, well, don't you want to get her input? Don't you think that what she has to say is important? Or like I'll get guys who will say, you need to be the captain of your ship and your wife is your first mate. No, you're the captain of the ship and she's along for the ride is what it is. And so a lot of guys will say, well, don't you think you should take her input as something that is important? And I'm like, yeah, but you base maybe so. Maybe she has information that you don't know, but ultimately your frame of mind, your mental point of origin is what's going to direct your life, her life, your family's life, whatever. Okay. So this is like if you have a family. Okay. This is if you are married already. I think a lot of guys try to find this sort of happy medium by saying, oh, I'm the captain and she's the first mate. Yeah, you know what? If the ship goes down, the first mate's going to abandon ship. Okay. So just take that with a grain of salt. It's usually when, like, I'm not saying, certain women wouldn't be attached to that guy and like believe in their dude and try to lift him up and everything. Cause there'll be a million women who'll go, well, not my guy, not in my case. Okay. Well, whatever. But the fact of the matter is that the ship goes down, the captain goes down with the ship. First mate doesn't have to go down with the ship. And so I think a lot of guys try to find this happy medium. They say, well, shouldn't you listen to what women have to say? Is it not important to get their input so that you can make an accurate assessment of what it is that women want, or how do you figure out when, like, I have heard this question, and this was in that essay. I've heard this question a million times since I was probably 13 years old. And I kid you not, 13 years old, where like kids, as in their teenage years, boys, young men, let's just say, in their teenage years, and what do women really want? Well, you'll see that all the time. They're writing books about this. You'll see it on Oprah. You'll see it everywhere. And you know what? For the most part, the answer should be, who cares? And it's not that that's you being some tough ass. It's that you, when it comes to assessing intersexual dynamics, it's more important to understand that the medium is the message rather than what that woman is telling you. This is obvious stuff. This is Red Pill 101. Everybody knows this stuff. Okay. You watch what she does. You don't listen to what she says. Or you listen to what she says and you compare it against what she does. And therefore what she does sort of reflects about where her mindset is at, where her head is at, or what her priorities are. Again, I approach this from a behaviorism perspective. And the sort of the cardinal rule for behaviorism, psychology. It's the study of behavior. Is that behavior is the only indicator of motivation, the only indicator of incentive. Because one where I kind of part ways with psychologists, like clinical psychologists, particularly like Jordan Peterson or even like Dr. Sean Smith, is a lot of their stuff is very cerebral. It's very humanist, and I don't think a lot of people realize that psychology comes in a lot of different flavors. And I would say the most nuts and bolts rational kind of psychology that there is behaviorism. It's like input output. I did some like Pavlovian response, right? I ring a bell and the dog starts to salivate. Well, okay, there's unconditioned response, there's conditioned response, there's operative conditioning, extinction bursts, there's positive and negative reinforcement of behavior. Those things seem to work. And on a root level, those things seem to work. But one of like I said, the cardinal rules of behaviorism is that the only way to determine incentive or motivation or intent is to watch behavior. And that's where I started with in that essay, which is watch what they do, don't believe what they say, and then make your assessments as a result of that. All right, what do you want? Richard says, 38-year-old Irish male. My 20s were rock star. Great. Since 35, my SMV went down. Can't even get fat chicks. No sex in 2 years. Very strange. Not very strange because your SMV went down. Who do you have to blame for that? I don't know what to tell you, brother. Let's see. Could you speak to men awakened while married? What's a good perspective on dealing with insecurities that come from a wife who seems to be attracted to Chad? Yeah, I can get to that. I'll see what I can. I don't know if I can. If I can fit that in at the end, I will. Case for Christ. But first, I need to explain what Just Get It is. And what Just Get It is it's the sort of unconscious expectation of women that men will understand like what it means to be a man, like how to be masculine. This is the easiest way to do this. I expect men to be mind readers. I'm sure you probably heard that before. It's like, what, am I expected to be a mind reader? I can't figure her out. Or guys, and one of the reasons I started off with the medium is the message is because in that essay, when I wrote about medium is the message, I talked about how guys were used to come to me all the time and they would say, she's sending me mixed messages, man. I don't get it. She tells me one thing and plays another, or she's hot and she's cold, or it's called coquetry. If you've ever read The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene, he didn't come up with this, but it's the art of being like hot and then cold again, like a tease, and then like bring you in. It's in a pickup artist lingo, it's called a takeaway. It's called string theory, cat string theory. Like you play with the cat with a little string and you let it play. If the cat never gets the little ball or the little feather or something, it's not as fun a game. So it's similar to that. It's like from Behaviorism 101, it is a takeaway is positive reinforcement. Or negative reinforcement, really, however you see it. Well, what it is like you reward positive behavior and you punish negative behavior, or you don't reinforce negative behavior. Like the desired behavior is really what it comes down to. And I know that sounds awfully like mechanical, or I'm being what's called reductionist. If you think that I'm being misogynist for suggesting that behaviorism be applied to human relationships, go take that up with Dr. Diana Fleischman. Okay. She teaches classes in this, how to train your boyfriend. Well, guess what? We're going to train your girl. How would you like to train your girlfriend? How do you do that? With a takeaway. How do you do that? With push-pull. How do you do that? Cocky funny. How do you do that? Amuse mastery. How do you do that? Neg hits. I don't know. Really, when it comes down to, like, if you look at pickup artist techniques, they're really behaviorist techniques. It's all operant conditioning. That's one of the reasons why I was so fascinated with like mystery method and all this stuff in the very beginning, like way back in the early days, is because it had such a parallel to behaviorism, which was what I was studying back then. In hindsight, I kind of wish I was getting into evolutionary psychology a little bit more, but behaviorism worked pretty well. And that's why I say, you have to, the medium is the message. And so guys will come up to me and they would say, well, I don't get it. She says one thing and then she does something else, man. She says she loves me, but then, or I'm right there and I'm a great shoulder to cry on. And I'm the best quality guy. I'm the best dude that she knows. Look how rich I am. Look how invested I am. Look how I would be a great dad. But she just keeps going and banging the chads. Why is that? Why she keeps going for the alphas? I don't understand that. We don't even call it alpha. She goes for that guy, the jock. What we would call it. If you're in high school, you would call him a jock, right? It keeps going for the guy who's like, really hot, HAWT. And I don't understand that. She says one thing and she behaves in another way. There's red pill guys that are just like hacking up in disgust right now because they're like, who doesn't get this? I don't understand. How come these blue pill guys are so blind? Well, because you at one point were that way too. You were plugged in. And the reason why you were plugged in is because you believed that men and women are co-equal, co-rational individuals. That there's no underlying influence, right? There's no underlying motivator, right? When we were talking about behaviorism, there's no underlying motivator, there's no underlying influence, there's no underlying intent. It's just whatever that women are these fickle forces of nature and they're just duplicitous, man. No, they're influenced by a lot of things that you can, if you look at the patterns and you see where they are at that particular phase of maturity in their lives or whatever you want to call it, what is motivating them at that particular time in their lives? Well, that aligns with probably a lot with what their behavior is and what they're talking about. Like when I talk about the epiphany phase, I just talked about that yesterday with the guys on Rule Zero, which, by the way, was a fantastic show. You guys have to go see that. Required read. There's your homework. Go watch Rule Zero from yesterday. So I was talking about the epiphany phase, and guys will say, well, don't you think that they're sincere about that? Don't you think that they really want to find God? Don't you think that they really want to change their ways? Don't you think they've learned their lesson because they tried to lock down the chat and they couldn't? And now here I am. I'm 31 years old and I'm the best. Finally, I'm being appreciated. Don't you think that they could be genuine about that? And my answer to that is always, yep, they are. If you talk to a woman in her epiphany phase and you hooked her up to a polygraph, like a lie detector machine, she would pass. You say, hey, do you really feel this way? Do you really want to get right with God? Do you really want to live a different life? Do you really want to settle down and have children now? Yeah, I do. True. That it would say that because they do. I'm not saying that it's disingenuous. I'm saying it's convenient. I'm saying that's part of the plan. And they say, well, do you think they're doing this with malice and forethought? No. There's something on some level of consciousness. They realize that at some point, women's sexual market value is going to decay to the point where they're going to have to cash out of the casino before the party's over. If you want to call that getting off the quote unquote carousel, so be it. Yes. And every one of them feels sincere about it. And so their behaviors will belie that. Their behaviors at that time, like who are they attracted to? What are they into? Why do they, you really want a good hardcore education in this, an outline in this. Go pick up my second book, which is Preventive Medicine. That whole book is dedicated to a timeline of women, what you can expect, basically what you can expect from women at different, phases of their maturity, from 15 years old all the way up to about 50 years old. I probably could have gone past 50, but I didn't. And people are like, oh, why'd you say 15? You know why I said 15? Because there's a lot of kids and a lot of boys in high school who are doing this. I would be the best guy for her. I don't understand. I try to do everything. I'm supportive of women. I'm a male feminist. Kid, 14 years old, trying to get with a girl who's 15 years old. That's why I started that. Not because I thought, oh, well, you can be 50 years old and get with a 15-year-old. No, that's not what I meant, asshat. What I meant is like there are certain, you want to know where a lot of the basic socialization of women starts really in their tweens and all. Well, you could make a case all the way back to when they're 5 years old, but I started it from there so the guys could, teenage guys could understand what to expect from girls in their high school. And it's very Darwinistic, yes. So, anyways. I'm getting a little sidetracked. So what just getting it is this, is when women are filtering for a guy, they're looking for a guy who doesn't need to be told how to be a certain way. Alpha male guy, a guy who, like, if we're going to go use Vox Day's sociosexual hierarchies again, the guy who's the alpha male, the guy who's in that top 20% that we keep talking about all the time, that guy doesn't have to learn game, or he doesn't seem like he has to learn game. And this is sort of like the curse of the natural, I think. Give me 1 second here. Somebody is chiming in. What do you want, my friend? Again, if you are not coming up with a... What the hell is this? It's not always that we don't... Tiger, here you go. Are you happy? It's not all that we don't get it. Hypergamy doesn't care. She is 16 and only sees a hot teacher she wants to bang. Okay. Well, basically what you're describing there is what I call contextual alpha. So let me explain to you, and this will sort of answer your question there. And Sam Whiskey, I see your thing there. You said, let me see. Sam said, the great Tom Likas once said, women are not qualified to give you relationship advice because they don't know what it's like to date women. Yeah. That's part of it. A lot of other guys will say, well, and I'm guilty of this myself. I've used this analogy. The deer doesn't teach the hunter how better to kill it. I think that's fairly accurate. Or the prey doesn't teach the hunter how better to capture it, because if that were to happen, like, everybody always wants the God mode, right? And this kind of gets back to, like, oh, I want a magic pill. I want a pickup artist program. I want somebody to give me the formula so I can play on God mode. And I'll tell you, the thing is that there is no God mode, particularly. And I mean, for a lot of guys think that there is. And this gets back to what I was talking about, like, sort of the curse of the natural. A lot of guys will say, well, there's these alpha males and they're all naturals, and you probably knew them. I certainly knew at least 4 or 5 of these guys when I was growing up, when I was a teenager. I realized that, hey, I'm not like these guys are. I used to think this. I used to think those guys are lucky. Those guys, wow, women just seem to gravitate towards them. Why? And I didn't really try to pick it apart because I was so invested in my blue pill conditioning back when I was a teenager, when I was in high school. So I would think that, well, these guys, my friends who are, well built and into sports and everything like that, of course, I understood, I think, on a base level that, women were attracted to a guy who was a good looking dude. I got that. But what I didn't get was that I had been sort of sold this bill of goods that if I'm her friend first, and if I don't rush things, and if you get to rapport and you learn about her, and it's better, you have a better relationship if you start out as friends, man. You'll still hear this crap today. You'll still hear all of this today. I listened to this kind of stuff back as early as, like, say, the mid 80s. Or people would say, well, you got to do this. You got to support her. You got to love her. You got to show her that you care, right? You got to show her that you would be like the perfect boyfriend. And so what a lot of guys do is they invest themselves in this idea that if they do that, if they're Mr. Perfect, that women will eventually want to get with them. And you'll see, like, it's the plot of romantic comedies. It's the plot. Like, there was I think probably like several episodes of Friends where or Rachel and Ross are like, they're having a break. Remember that? We're on a break. Remember, that was stupid. We laugh at it now, but we look back at that and with a red pill lens, and we look at Friends, especially the relationship between, like, Rachel and Ross, and we go, oh my God, this is a horror movie. This is a horror story. But we look at that, and I remember that being funny. And then I even back then in the 90s, I think it was in my 20s back then, I remember seeing that and I'm going, the idea was this, is like, Ross and Rachel are splitting up, and they go, tell you what, if we're still single when we're 30 years old, then we'll get married. I'm like, yeah, that's great for the chick. It's not good for the guy. How awesome would it be if the girl gets to go and have her hoe phase, like we were talking about yesterday? She gets her party years from 18 until 28, 29. And then there's this dutiful beta in waiting that's waiting for her at 30 years old. And he's made the most of himself. He hasn't been very successful, relationship wise or sexually or whatever, but here she's like, oh, I'm all used up, but that's okay. You're here. You're Mr. Perfect. You were here all along. And now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to settle down. And and I'll tell you the other, like people like MGTOWs love this one because this is like red meat for MGTOWs. Like, I would never get with that girl. She's already been run through, right? We were listening to this yesterday on Rule Zero. And she's already run through. I would never want to get with her. I need to find a virgin bride. Like, okay, great. But what they never talk about is this, is that the guy who's like 30, 31 years old and he's there and he's still blue pill and he's still ignorant, it screws him even more. Because if he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't realize that his sexual market value peak years are really going to be probably his mid 30s when he starts hitting his prime. And so not only is he stuck like with the girl who's run through, right? He's not only is he stuck with the woman who has pretty much fulfilled or has at least fulfilled half of her hypergamous optimization strategy. And now here she is at 29, 30 years old, and she wants to get with this guy. And now, oh, you waited for me, right? That's where I got the idea, Beta's in waiting, because Ross was waiting for her. But it screws him not only because he's getting this woman who is probably is an alpha widow, and it is going to, back in my college years, I was so crazy. Not only is that the case, and not only is he not getting her sexual best, but now he's selling himself short because he's making all of these commitments and all of these things that he thinks is the right thing to do at 30 years old without understanding that like within the next 5 or 6 years or maybe 8 years, he's going to be on top of his game. He's going to be hitting his stride, hopefully, if he's maximizing his potential, his personal potential. If he waited, if you held out and said, you know what, no, Rachel, I don't really want to get with you right now. You look kind of used up, but you've got 2 kids from 2 different fathers. I don't know if I really want to be a part of that. And if he held out and he decided that when he got to be 36, that he wanted to get with a woman who was 26 and hadn't been run through, or maybe less run through, doesn't come with that baggage. Now he's the asshole for having done that. Like those are social conventions that point that out. But so there's guys who are, I just wanted to fill you in just so you guys get a little idea. I always feel like I got to give you some background before I get into the meat of things here. But so there's these guys that you see as being alpha, and we tend to associate these guys as being like lucky or they're the jerk boyfriend. And for the, like, why is it that like a beta male, blue pill condition, beta male guy can't get it? He can't understand it. He can't get why she keeps, like, the girl he's like crushing on, right? The girl he wants to get with, they can't understand why she keeps going back to the alpha. He hurt you. He cheated on you. That was like 2 weeks ago. I can't believe it. Now, of course, ovulatory shift. Now she comes back around. I can't believe that. I've been here. You cried on my shoulder. I've been your telephone friend. I've been your emotional tampon. How can you, like, why doesn't this follow? I've been told my entire life that this is the way it's supposed to, and he doesn't get it. He doesn't get women's nature. And that's really what it boils down to, is when I say just get it, or women want you to just get it, they want you to have this sort of instinctual, innate understanding of women's nature, because women believe that the alpha male has that, and that no matter what that guy does, no matter what the alpha guy does, he seems to be the guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang. And women don't. I was watching this was part of the sociosexual hierarchy video that Vox Day did, and he was talking about the gammas. And I think gammas is something that we sort of apply to, like, from my terminology, is really sort of like a catch-all for beta males, right? But like the gamma male guys are the guys who just really don't get it. But not only that, they're outspoken about not getting it. Like they're the ones who will complain and will try to do what I call appeals to reason. They'll say, well, they'll be like this. They invest themselves. They're the emotional tampon. They listen to her on the phone. They develop what I call the sniper mentality. They think that if they invest enough in relational equity, even though they have no relationship, they'll still think that they do, and that they're building on that, so that when they do have a relationship, eventually she's going to see the light, right? Finally, I'm going to hit pay dirt, because all this is going to pay off. And once she sees that I'm the perfect boyfriend, I'll have already established all this great relational equity, because I was there when she was crying. I was there when the jerks blew her off. I was there when, her friends weren't around or whatever, blew her off because she keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. The thing is that the fact that he's doing that and the fact that he's bringing it up and he's being overt about it, he's overtly communicating that he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why she keeps doing that. She knows, even if she doesn't know, on some level of consciousness, on some hindbrain thing. Like women will say this, you'll hear or you'll read today, anyways, you'll read on forums or you'll read on Twitter or social media or whatever. Women will laugh at it. And this was a part I wanted to add into this, and I'll probably end up doing a full show dedicated to cognitive dissonance in women. But this is a good example of cognitive dissonance in women. Women can easily hold two conflicting ideas in their heads, and it's even easier and be fine with it and not have any kind of guilt or moral ambiguity or anything, nothing. And they'll laugh at it or they'll be confused by it. Those are the two things that's really kind of the reaction, but they're still holding it. And I've used this example before, where I've told this story about how my poor girls back in the day, I would listen to their conversations, and the one conversation that always stuck with me was one was saying to the other, says, "Have you ever had, or would you ever have a one night stand, or would you ever have a same night lay?" That's what in pickup artist language was SNL, right? Same night lay. Would you ever bang a guy that you met on the first night? And one says to the other, well, yeah, sure, I would, or I have, right? But not only if he wasn't boyfriend material. And so I thought about that and I go, okay, so if the guy's hot enough, he's the guy in the foam cannon party in Cancun, got to use that example every show. He's the guy that is the hot opportunity, the hypergamous opportunity for good seed. Like the guy, hypergamy cannot afford to miss out on opportunities like that. It can't afford to miss out on the hot, fun guy who's ready to go with a same night lay. Particularly now, because there's much less consequences for doing those things now. In fact, women are actively absolved of that. But here's what gets me is that, like, women can talk about this and they can laugh about it, and they're essentially holding two different conflicting ideas or two conflicting strategies, really, which is, I would get with the guy who's hot. I would get with the guy who represented a good alpha seed opportunity. But if he was showing me signs that he would make good boyfriend material, then I would make him wait. I would make him jump through hoops. Like I said before, women will make rules for alphas and they will break rules for betas. Excuse me, other way around. They will make rules for betas and they will break rules for alphas. And so all the time where a woman says, I don't usually do this, or she's breaking rules for you, if she's blowing off her friends, if she is blowing off work, if she has responsibilities and that she is sort of shirking those responsibilities so she can come and have sex with you, she probably sees you as alpha. If you're a beta guy and she's going, well, I don't really have sex on the first night. Oh, I got to get to know you more. I need to feel comfortable. We need to spoon on my bed a few times before I'm comfortable enough to have sex with you. If she's making those kinds of rules, making you wait, filibustering you, most likely she sees you as a beta. She sees you as like good dad material rather than good Chad material. And so those are like, but when you get to that point, what most guys will do is they'll say, well, they realize these things and they try to bring it up in a logical sense. Like, it's the guy who, and I had it up here a little while ago, the guy who was made famous, let's just say, for having the Excel spreadsheet, or he would hit up his girlfriend, or he would go and he would petition the girls who had rejected him. And he would say, well, why did you reject me? Or even Alexander Grace right now, he's started this little mini business getting women to tell pretty much beta male guys what they're doing wrong. And then those guys are going to take that advice and they're going to change themselves and suddenly they'll be attractive, right? Wrong. You will not be attractive. All you're doing is just sort of signing up for your own debasement. You're just signing up for your own abuse. And a lot of guys like that, right? They like self-flagellation. Right? They like to whip themselves. They like to hurt. It's almost sadistic, really. And it takes a special kind of woman to go there and say, you're kind of fat. You know what? You don't have any, style sense, blah, blah, blah. But what you're not going to get out of that is any really actionable, real advice. And you're not going to change yourself as a result of that. You're going to pay for the privilege of being talked down to. And the last thing you're going to do is get it. The very fact that that would be appealing to you means you don't get it. There are certain things that I keep stressing this all the time is demonstrate, do not explicate. When you have boundaries, you demonstrate and you enforce those boundaries. And you don't talk about those things. You just do. You act. Always default to action. Always default to game. Always default to action. That's a Royce principle, actually. Always default to action. I forget which law it is. It's in the 48 Laws of Power. It's enter into action with boldness. Because that's what women and men expect from guys who are alpha males, guys who are worthy of being somebody who can set the direction for a group, set the direction for a family, set the direction for a church, set the direction for a country. Those are the guys that we look to and we say, okay, this guy, it seems like he knows what he's talking about. And he's acting in such a way that's congruent with what I believe a leader should be, or what an alpha should be, or what a Chad should be, or whatever should be. So you've got these guys who want to pick that apart. And then when they do, and I think this is a real problem with particularly gamma male guys, particularly beta male guys in the black pill community, certainly guys, let's not say all of them, but a lot of guys in the MGTOW community who really eat up the red meat, who really eat up the indignance that comes from, oh, gotcha, or is it pro-revenge, right? Oh, it feels good to see a woman get her comeuppance. Oh, great. Yeah, awesome. But you know what? You still don't get it. You can sit there and you can talk about it all day long. You can say, I understand this, but you don't get it because the guy who talks about it doesn't get it. The guy who acts it gets it. The guy who goes up there and his behaviors, his thoughts. Like I was saying this before. This is a really good example. Still a good example is Corey Worthington in my essay about alpha. The video of him talking to kind of the hot looking, anchor woman journalist, and it was in Australia, and he's this young, probably 19, 20-year-old kid, and looks good, cut, surfer kid, blonde hair, has his sunglasses on, and she's trying to shame him and she's trying to bring him down a notch, and he's just not doing it. And it's not that he's doing it because he learned not to do it. It's that's just who he is, right? Like she says to him, why don't you take those glasses off and apologize to all the people in your neighborhood and your parents? And he goes, no. He's like, I'm sorry for what I did, but I'm not taking my glasses off. And she says, why? He says, because they're famous. And like without missing a beat. And you know what? I think he believes that. It's not like some trained thing. It's not like he had to read a book to know that. That's why I called him the Alpha Buddha, because it was just sort of this natural, almost Zen alphaness that comes out of the guy. Now, granted, he's not that way anymore. I get that. Don't send me the pictures of his wedding to his fat girlfriend. I got it. I've seen those pictures. But back then, when he was young and had nothing to lose and was really full of himself, and, a lot of people say, well, that's arrogant. He doesn't do what I do, so he's not really a real alpha. Well, yeah, he is. He just does it naturally. And we call that the natural alpha. Like, oh, you're born that way. You hit the genetic lottery. So you understand these things. Well, only because the behavior and the mindsets that are a result of that behavior have been reinforced over and over with being rewarded by women, of course, being rewarded by women's interests. So it's not that they can't do the same thing you can. Like it takes you, if you're beta or you're not as attractive, you didn't hit the genetic lottery, whatever you want to blame your failures on. It's not that guy isn't going through the same thing that you are. It's just that he figured it out earlier because he had an advantage. He was set a little bit ahead. Now, is he going to learn, or is he going to pay the consequences for not having learned certain things? Yeah. That you're going to learn. Yes. That's why I wrote an essay called, Dream Girls and Children with Dynamite. And I actually stole that line from, what's his name? Can't remember his name. Ross Jeffries actually talked about that. He talked about how red pill and game was like giving children dynamite because it gave them the keys to the castle. But it was like tying a black belt around these guys' waist and putting them in the ring. They're really white belts, but you tie a black belt around their waist and you go, okay, you're a black belt, go in there and fight that guy. And they do, and they get killed. And that's pretty much what the red pill did for a lot of guys in the early days. Or I should say the red pill, the game game gave these guys the keys to the castle, and they went in and learned how to get women. But the problem is that they didn't know enough about women's nature. They didn't get it. I didn't get it. I'll be the first to admit that. I would never have gotten with my borderline personality disorder girlfriend had I got it, because I would have been more about mental point of origin, which took me a long time to learn that, which is why I stress that a lot, because it's a valuable lesson and it takes a long time to internalize. I know. So when I talk about just get it, there's kind of a social stigma right now for guys to learn game or really learn anything. Remember when we talk about men's burden of performance, that burden of performance is based on competence. And so dominance hierarchies amongst other men, like who's on top, who makes the most money, who's the most status. When we talk about dominance hierarchies, again, we could talk about sociosexual hierarchies as well as that. But when we're talking about those dominance hierarchies, they tend to be based on like sort of contextualized competency in whatever it is that your arena is, let's just say. And so that competency right there means something. It means that you have to know what you're doing. You just step into a role, you step into what it is that you're doing, and you're competent and you're confident in whatever it is that you happen to be doing. I keep saying this before, is like, confidence comes from options, but those options come from competency. So you have to know what you're doing before you can generate options. And once you generate those options, then you have confidence. Got it? See, it comes all the way back around. So you've got this competency that is expected. Like I keep telling guys all this, like whenever people hit me up for like, well, it's all about looks. I go, well, it's all about looks up until the point where you have to open your mouth and talk about something. And then it's about congruency. And that's when, what was it? I think it was Vox Day was saying that like when women encounter like a gamma male, a guy who wants to talk about why, if it weren't for society, he would be a king. If it weren't for society, then women would appreciate his intellectual genius. He figured it out. Great. He figured out women, but women don't want to be told that they're in a game. They want to play the game. They want to know that you can play the game. So when I talk about competency in this sense, it's playing that game and then showing that you're competent in playing that game. So when you do like a neg hit, I'm just going to put this in game terms. I'm going to take it out of game terms in just a second, but I'm going to put this in game terms for right now. If you apply like a neg hit, or if you know something about amuse mastery, or you know something about agree and amplify, that's a good one. When a woman throws a shit test at you or a compliance test at you, and there's a difference between those two, I'll explain later. But if she puts a test to you, the surest way to fail that test is to go, you're testing me right now. You want me to say these things, and I'm not going to do those things. Or are you testing me because you think I'm a beta male? Are you giving me rules because you think I'm beta? Like basically spelling out the game, like saying, you know what? We're playing a game. We're all acting right now, but you just broke character. And now you're talking about, you're down to earth and you're applying. Like most blue pill guys do this because they've been taught that open communication is the key to a healthy relationship. All you got to do is talk it out, sit at the table with her and negotiate. That is something that Jordan Peterson talks about. You need to find a woman that you can negotiate with and compromise with. No, you need to play the game better is what you need to do. You need to be that guy where it would never occur to either one of you to sit down at the table and negotiate, because you are the one that is directing that family, directing that marriage, directing those kids, directing the interaction, the approach, the Sarge, right? Directing the interaction between you and the girlfriend. It is your frame. If you are in your frame, there is no need to negotiate. And that gets back to what I was saying about like the captain and the first mate. Like, oh, I want to make, she's my first mate. I want to make her feel like she's important. Well, you know what? If you're the captain, you go down with the ship. If you're the captain, you drive the ship. If you're the captain, you're the one who's making all of these decisions. I'd say, oh, you need to get information from her. Great. But take that with a grain of salt. Take that with the importance of information as opposed to consideration. I got into a gosh, this was back about when Andrew Yang was running for president, and his wife said, I let him run for president because of some issue. And people, like particularly in the red pill circles, they jumped on it. So she allowed him to run for president. So whose frame is Andrew Yang in? Any confidence, any competency that I thought that Andrew Yang had as being like the next president just flew out the window, because it shows to me that he is not the captain of his ship. He is not his own mental point of origin. He is not in his own frame, in his own marriage. And people, of course, the counter to that, the counter argument to that was always, well, they have an egalitarian equal partnership. And he takes into, he's a more of a man than you are, because he takes into account her, her decisions or her, reasoning or whatever. Like, no, he's in her frame. And if he wasn't in her frame, she wouldn't have felt comfortable about saying, I let him do this. I allowed him to do that. I hear that from like church women all the time. You got to allow your man to lead. Well, just by you uttering that means that he is in your frame. You have authority that you're sort of just partitioning out, giving him a little bit, like make him feel like he's okay. It's like pandering is what it is. Make him feel like he has a little. You really have no authority, but I'm going to give you just enough authority so that you think that you feel like a man. That's the frame. That's just get it. Like when you say that, that's part of just getting it, right? Well, that's a great example. The guy who accepts that, the guy who self-deprecates, the guy who says, well, my wife let me run for president. You don't get it. You do not get it. You're not playing the game, or you're playing into her frame, which says that you don't get it, because an alpha male would not do that. An alpha male would not say, an alpha male would not, let's say, align himself with that. It wouldn't even come up. There wouldn't be a negotiation. There wouldn't be, let's sit down and talk about this. It just is. And a woman instinctively understands that that's how it is. And if I'm going to be with this guy, then that's how I have to, these are the articles of our relationship, and this is how things are going to work out. And it's it's not blathering back and forth. Now, why is it that guys don't get it? Well, because most guys are deductive problem solvers, and it sounds like logic. It sounds really good. It sounds really good to go and say, well, I'm going to sit down at the table and we're going to negotiate and compromise. And tell you what, baby, I'm going to wash the dishes 4 times a week, and I'll do laundry once a week, and then you're going to give me a blowjob. Like, you'll even see this, and it's pathetic. And I'll have to post these memes later, but like, you'll see these charts that guys like will put up, and they're proud of it, and they'll put it on Facebook. They'll put it on Twitter. And what it is it's a list of all the chores that they're supposed to do. And if they do these things, then he gets a 6-pack. You change the baby. Oh, you get a blowjob for that. And literally it says you get a blowjob. Or, do these things, do whatever it is. I don't even know what it is, like clean up barf or something like that. Then you get laid. And not only is that transactional, but it also proves that the guy doesn't get it. He doesn't get what makes her tick. But he's happy to fall into that because he thinks it solves a problem. So he'll deduce. He'll make an Excel spreadsheet. He'll scream up and down about how horrible women are and how duplicitous they are. And like I was saying before, how they can hold two cognitively dissonant ideas in their heads. Yeah, they can. And by you saying that, and I'm just now guilty of that, I'm by saying that, it is belying the game. It's stripping off the veneer. All the what is it? The pretense. All the pretense goes away. Women do not want to hear that they are in a game. They want to play the game, and they want you to play well. So the guy who gets it is the guy who didn't have to learn it. And I know that sounds really like backwards ass, and it does, and it is backwards ass. Or like guys will say, what am I supposed to be, a mind reader? No, but you are supposed to know enough about women and have enough experience about them to know what to do, not what to say, what to do. So you got guys that will be like trying to explain it and trying to dissect it rather than, and I'm not saying this is not, I shouldn't say this. It's not about guys just get out there and do it. Just go do it, man. Just be a man. Just go out and go. I'm saying you need to understand women's nature. And then by that understanding, it influences your actions. It manifests in your actions. Like I tell guys, and this was part of my notes here, so I'm going to get to this today too, is I'm very, I stress internalization of the red pill. And you've heard me say this before because people always say, well, you got to keep gaming your wife all the time. I was like, no, because my natural response now, my internalized response is according to what I've learned, my red pill, like my experience and my background, like the women that I've been with prior, what I've noticed, what I've picked up. I'm very observant, right? So people say, well, Rollo, you have to, I don't want to get married because I don't want to have to game my wife all the time. Well, after a while, once you have become experienced enough, once you have internalized this stuff enough, once you become the game, it's not a constant effort. It's not something you have to keep going on, referring back to my book or the manual or whatever to say, well, what's the proper response here? No, you will play the game because you've internalized your experience. You understand what to do and when to do it. So like when guys guys always throw they always throw neg hits or like pickup artist techniques back at people. That's just an act. Yeah, it is an act when you're first starting out. But it has like cocky and funny, amuse mastery, has to be something that you internalize and that it's part of the game that you're playing. And that's why we call it game. It's really not game. Because people like, well, I don't want to play games, man. I just want a solid relationship. I don't want to play any games with me. Well, sorry, you can call it whatever you want. It is just getting it. It's understanding what what is expected, not necessarily of you, but of like the guy that she would like you to be, that she wants you to be, like the idealized guy that she wants you to be. That's why I said that, and again, that is why women's advice for relationships, for dating, for picking up girls is always sort of fallacious because they're not going to, first of all, women are never going to tell you what they're aroused by. They're going to tell you what they're attracted to. They'll tell you what they're aroused by, but only sort of indirectly. They'll tell their girlfriends. And if you happen to pick up on that from her social media, then you'll understand. And that's part of understanding it is you being interested enough to say, okay, girls really want a guy who's built. Girls really want a guy with a V taper. Girls really want a 6-pack abs. And we can see that. We can do these silly experiments till we're blue in the face, right? You can go and create a fake Tinder account, and you can pretend you're a reformed criminal, and you can use you can use Derek Zoolander's face or picture or body, whatever. I don't care. You be a male model, whatever. And you know what? You're going to find exactly what you're looking for because you don't have to do those experiments. You already know that. But guys will still do that. They'll go, oh, look, I created a fake account. And women just love it. They don't care. I could be a child molester. I could be a serial abuser, and they'll still want to have sex with me. Yeah. And you didn't have to go to all that problem. You didn't have to go to all that trouble. It's already there for you. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're going to sit there. Yeah, it's more fun to commiserate. So when it comes to just getting it, like a lot of people are going to hear this and they go, well, I don't want to do what you're just making women the measurement of your self-worth. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, what are they looking for? You don't have to do any of this. Like, do you think that a guy who is the natural alpha, the guy who does just get it and lives it out and demonstrates it in his daily life, manifests it in his daily life, manifests it in his mannerisms, his personality, ever just who he is. Do you think that guy cares about what women think about him? He doesn't have to, because women are already, they're throwing themselves at him, right? I mean, that's the Chad, right? That's Chad Thundercock. He's the guy that all the women just want to just throw themselves at. Do you think that guy like sits around and goes, I think I need to read The Rational Male. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And what's working for him? Not caring about all this crap. He just does what he does because that's what's always going to be rewarded. He just gets it. I said this in the if you look in the description here, I have links to all the referenced essays that I talk about here. But in there's one called Just Get It. It's actually a chapter in the book. And in that I said, I probably should just read this thing here too. I forget where I put this. Shall we read? I don't think I've ever done this on a show. Where did I put Just Get It? I wrote, there's a pretty basic part here that I think kind of sums up Just Get It. And let's see what I can do for you here. Just Get It. It is on page. Children, it's time to turn to your textbook to page 151. 151 is Just Get It. Okay, so and this is the part that I wanted to read to you guys, and I would just look this up, but it's much easier just to do it like this. Oh, okay. I put this in here, and really, I mean, I'll just paraphrase for you. I could read this whole thing to you, but I'm paraphrasing here is the guy who needs to be taught how to be masculine, the guy who needs to be taught to learn game, the guy who needs to learn about women's nature. That guy is not the guy for a woman. That guy is by that's why we sort of shame guys with the idea that, well, you had to learn how to pick up chicks, so there must be something wrong with you. You had to learn game, so there had to be something wrong with you. And this comes from everyone too. The people on the outside of the red pill, people on the inside of the red pill will say the same thing. Why would you, like on the outside, they will say, well, you're a loser, you're an incel. Right, that's the insult du jour. You have to learn how to pick up girls. Well, look at you. You must have a micro ween, right? Well, why is that an insult? Why is that? Well, I'm trying to learn how to be better with women. Don't you want guys who know how to deal with women and how to? No. Why? Well, why? Well, the reason why is because they want guys who just naturally get it. They want a guy who already knows it, who doesn't have to learn it. And if you have to learn it, at least keep it secret. And now from the inside of the red pill, you have guys who say, well, why would you want to do that, man? You don't want to make women your primary focus in your life. And I've said the same thing. Don't want to, women should only be a complement to your life, never the focus of it. But that doesn't disqualify you from learning women's nature, understanding how to deal with women. You could say, well, I don't want to deal with it. I'm out. Well, you do. Even the guy who's the black pill guy, that guy does. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be bitching about it. If you didn't care enough to commiserate with your friends on Reddit or Pro Revenge or whatever YouTube guy you're following right now, if you didn't care about what women thought about you, you wouldn't do that. Because you would be like, oh, well, let's all get together and have this let's laugh. Let's be the kids on the playground. Let's laugh and throw rocks at the girls. That's what it is. But if a guy wants to go and like a guy wants to read my book, a guy wants to understand red pill, and he wants to use that to better and improve his life with women or his family or wife or whatever, we're going to say, well, you should already know that from the outside, or you don't need to know that, or why would you bother? And I think he kind of like the guy who really wants to be like, he really wants to understand women. He really wants to just get it. He wants to be able to play the game well enough. And like, even just, like I said, even just me saying, oh, you play a game, right? Most guys, particularly like the guys who are the direct game guys, the mode ones, right? Like, just be a man. Just go up and be a man. I don't see why you're such a pussy, man. You just got to stop being a pussy, man. That's all you got to do. Just be a man. Be a man. Get out there and be a man, dog. Like that helps no one, because these guys do the same thing. They'll go out there, yeah, I'm just going to be a man. And then you know what happens? Everybody goes, oh, you're trying to be somebody you're not. It doesn't do anything for these guys. I go, just go up and tell her, hey, look, I want to have sex with you. Are you down? I'm not saying that doesn't work with some women. Sure, it does. What happens once you get into it? What happens when you have a relationship with that woman? Well, I'm just going to be the man. Well, good. Hold the frame. Hopefully you're alpha enough to do that. But guys who have no clue how to just get it, they don't understand that. You're speaking a different language to these guys. So understanding game, yes, it's understanding game, understanding red pill, understanding all this stuff. Yes, it's vitally, vitally important for these guys. Now, how they apply that is different. And it's going to be different to the individual. That's why I said I don't give prescriptions to guys. But when it comes to game, when it comes to like learning women, when it comes to just getting it, there are certain things that like an alpha guy, an attractive guy does that a beta guy does not, or he would, be frustrated by and talks about it. And like I was saying before, like, what was it in Vox Day's sociosexual hierarchy? He was talking to some women and he was defining like the gamma male guy who would like talk about like why he should be very attractive and why women, he really should be attractive, but women just don't find him attractive because society or they're unintelligent or whatever else. And he told me, like he said in that video, he said that women he's talked to have felt this visceral reaction to punch those guys, to punch them in the face because they don't get it, because they don't understand. Like they're talking about it. When guys come to me and they say, Rollo, should I talk about the red pill to my girlfriend, my wife, to this girl that I want to get with? They'll say, should I just say I'm reading your book? Or, oh my God, this would be Rollo, my girlfriend found your book. I'm doomed. I was like, well, why would you think you're doomed? Well, because it's what's called the observer effect. Observing a process changes a process. Guys ask me this. I'll say, Rollo, why does your wife read your book? Does your wife know what you do? Does your wife watch these live casts? Does your wife read your blog? And the answer to that is yes, she's read the first book. And yes, occasionally she'll watch one of the, only if I point something out to her, I'll say, hey, you might be interested in this. Or if it's something on my blog, I don't consult her and go, what do you think I should write about? That never happens. But like, I will say, hey, you might be interested in this. But what that does is it sort of gives up the game, right? Because that would be me saying, well, like imagine this. And I know guys get into this with their girlfriends. They'll go, well, you're reading that Rational Male, or you're reading that Art of Seduction. So are you using some of that on me now? That's observing the process changes the process. So if she knows that you're red pill, if she knows you're into this kind of stuff, and I get women who will email me and they'll be like, well, my boyfriend has been reading your stuff. Is there any hope? Because I really want it. He's so anti-marriage now because of something that you said. Is there any hope for me having a good relationship with him? And really, when I'm put into that position, I'm put into the position of having to explain why it is she does what she does and why it is he's doing what he's doing. And I'm giving away the mechanics, right? Again, people will call this being reductionist, like bringing it all down to just sort of the nuts and bolts and not living it out, not feeling the emotions. It becomes all rationality and no emotionality. And that's something that as a guy, if you want to just get it, you need to understand women enough to know that they prioritize emotion before they prioritize reason. So for most guys, they want to drag women into their way of thinking or their communication style. So it's all overt communication. There's no nuance. There's no sub communications. There's no nothing. It's like, hey, I think you're hot. Do you want to bang? Tell me yes or no right now. No. Okay. Bye. Yes. Let's go. It becomes like this yes or no kind of like direct, overtly direct game, I guess. And in some cases that might work, like I said before. But the problem is after a while, the subcommunications and the emotional side of that woman that you actually had sex with now, I mean, presuming you didn't have a one night stand, right? A woman comes back into your life. Now you've got to deal with her on a female level. You've got to understand what she's about. And if not, then you just out. Okay, fine. Then you just move on to the next one. Good for you. But at some point you're going to have to at least have some kind of education, whether that's natural or it's not. All right, let me look at some of these. What do you got here? Nebula says, women seem to be ignorant of the disconnect between what they say they want versus what they actually respond to. Yes. I think I kind of got into that a little bit there, Nebulous. There is the cognitive dissonance aspect of this. But when you, like I said before, if you reveal the game, if you say, hey, I'm using neg hit on you right now. Here's how it's going to work. It's not going to work because you're not playing the game. You're giving up the game. You're talking about the game instead of playing the game. I have said this before, and it's really hard. I usually put this in writing, but I'll say it here as play with her and play with her. So play with her and play with her. So what that means is you understand the game that you're playing. She understands it as well. The best way to pass a shit test is to pass it not by talking about the shit test, but by passing it in by using something like by playing that game with her that indicates, I get it. I know what you're talking about. I know where you're going with this. Because that's what she's expecting from the kind of guy that she would want to be with. Let's keep going. Oh, I forgot my usual caveat. My usual caveat is this: is if you don't want to get with a woman, then don't. Fine, you're done. Great. If you decided that you're going to bug out and you don't want to, your MGTOW, black pill, whatever, and I can't believe he's talking about this. Oh, who wants to do that? It's crazy. It's dangerous. You're leading men to the slaughterhouse. Yeah. Okay, there's your caveat. Now, can we continue? Let's see. Long time no see. Super chat for support. Thank you, Ryan Sullivan. Let me cruise back a little bit here. Nebulous. Iro the Legend says, women want men to just get it, then why can't they? Well, because a lot of guys get too cerebral about it. Like I was saying before, there's the natural guys who are like the 20%ers, and then there's the rest of the 80% of guys who have to, in some way, be clever, be intelligent, find some way to make up for deficit, find some way to make themselves attractive enough so that they can complete their reproductive mission. Those are usually the guys, I said this before, for most men's strategy, 80% of guys are beta males. 80% of guys are guys who women, well, even 85% of women rate as unattractive. I can show you the stats for that. It's like OK Cupid or something like that. I forget which one, but it's in Dataclysm. There's a book called Dataclysm where they have all of these stats. Well, by and large, 85% of women rate men as unattractive. Those guys have to figure something out. They got to figure out how to get around that. I got to find a workaround. I got to do something. I got to understand what they're about. And so what that's a problem, right? I keep bringing this up, a reproductive problem. Women have a reproductive problem and men have a reproductive problem. How do we solve that problem? Through our mating strategy, through our sexual strategy, whatever, through our lifestyles. How do I solve that problem? That's the most basic. For men, that problem outranks dying of hunger. So that's how important it is. So when guys say, well, Rollo, you only talk about sexual dynamics. It's all sex, and hypergamy, blah, blah, blah. There's more important things in life than that. Yeah, well, guess what? Every time that chick always comes right back around, doesn't it? Politics, sex, gender. Religion, sex, gender. Prince Harry, sex, gender. COVID, sex, gender. Everything comes back at some point. That's why it's important. That's why it's important to know this. And that's why when somebody says, well, you need to learn game. Only losers and incels need to do that. Well, yeah, because they need to figure it out. They have a deficit, and there's no shame in wanting to figure out how to get laid. There's no shame. There shouldn't be any shame in learning how to pick up chicks. There shouldn't be any shame in any of that. But why is there shame? I'll tell you why. Because what happens is when you teach guys who are beta males, those 85% of guys who women rate as unattractive or unarousing or whatever the hell it is, when you teach those guys an end around, a workaround to solve their reproductive problems, you are thwarting that woman's hypergamous filters. And that is her existential fear. I really need to get into, I got to do a full episode about men and women's existential fears. I'll give you the brief answer for women right now because it's relative to what we're talking about. For women, women's existential fear is to get with a guy who she thought was alpha, who she thought was going to optimize her hypergamy, and she got with that guy. She had sex with that guy, and she got pregnant with that guy. And then later she finds out he's not who he represented himself as. He's really not alpha. He is beta. And again, I'm just using these as abstracts. He's not ideal. He's not optimal. He's suboptimal, right? She finds that out, and now she's pregnant with that guy's baby. In our ancestral past, that could be a death sentence. And that's why it is so important. You want to know why women are so particular, why women think that they have this feminine intuition? Feminine intuition is really just the hypergamous filter. It's, oh, I'm figuring him out. Why do women like indignation? Because that indignation triggers the hypergamous filter. There's nothing, and again, it's from the book, there's nothing that is more satisfying to a woman than to think, anyways, that she's figured a guy out based solely on her feminine intuition. Because if she figures the guy out, if she Shakespeare has written plays about this, Ovid has written poems about this, since time immemorial. The feminine mystique is really about like this mysterious, mystical, natural force of nature power, metaphysical. It's like, oh, yeah, I have some, I'm a woman and therefore I'm a sorceress and I can figure you out. And I have feminine intuition and I know when you're lying. Like, think about it this way. Remember Wonder Woman? What's her superpower? Well, what's her rope superpower? To get you to tell the truth. That's what women want. That's a superpower to women, to figure things out based on like, okay, I figured it out. I've got my rope here. I'm going to wrap it around you and you're going to tell me everything that you, and so that's a superpower, right? That is something that is, that is, I think for women is something that, is almost supernatural. It would be great if we could just get men to do what we want them to do, because men will be duplicitous in representing themselves because they're trying, because again, mating strategies are adversarial. Men want to get laid first and foremost, because we like the sex act. Okay. But what does that facilitate? Reproduction. So we want to get laid and we'll do what we have to do it. Whether that's game, that's lying, that's making money, that's selling drugs, that's pornography, whatever it is. If we can have unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, that is the basic male imperative. And that's if everything were equal, men would want to be able to have variety and access. That's what powerful men have done for a long time. It's created harems because they have access and can reproduce with, oh, I'm bored of this one. Give me another one. Be like Ming the Merciless, whatever your emperor is. But that's the fear. The fear for women, existential fear for women, is losing control over hypergamy. You want to know why abortion is the first thing that women legalized once they got real power after the sexual revolution and hormonal birth control? That was why do women like fight tooth and nail to this day and celebrate when they get legalized abortion? Because it's a fail-safe against a bad hypergamous decision. You can, because let's distill it down to what it really is. Why is it appealing? Why is it something that has to be ensured? It's a human right. Abortion is a human right. Why? Because what purpose does it serve? What's the latent purpose of abortion? It is to ensure against a bad reproductive decision. That's what it is. You say, oh, abortion's murder and God and morality. Okay, fine, great. Whatever you want to talk about. Okay, I might even want to listen to that. But from a practical, nuts and bolts, rational perspective, what is the latent purpose of abortion? To absolve a woman of a bad reproductive decision. Getting with a guy and getting pregnant. Oh my God, he's not the alpha I thought he was. Holy shit. I gotta flush this kid. Or now women can simply scoop the sperm right out of your condom, put it in them, and you're on the hook for 18 years at least. Oops, got pregnant. And there's no repercussion for her. And the guy's on the hook. Yeah, you couldn't keep your dick in your pants. Well, I put a condom on. Doesn't matter. You fathered a kid. You did it. Once a sperm leaves your body as a man, you're on the hook. You're powerless once a sperm leaves your body. Why? Well, because women want 100% control over hypergamy. They want everything. You want to know why women hate prearranged marriages or even like child marriages? Yeah, okay, so pedophilia. Understood. Got it. But also, it removes hypergamous decision making from that girl, from the woman who would otherwise be able to make those decisions for herself. Same thing for prearranged marriages, which is something that has been going on for a very long time. And complain about this patriarchal society that we had, even in like Old Testament times, where you're giving away your that was the whole thing, right? Giving away your daughter in marriage. I'm going to do that at some point in my life. Oh, how dare you? Or surnames, taking your husband's surname. Well, that's ownership. Blah blah blah. You know why women hate that? Because it implies control over hypergamy. It implies control over that existential fear. I wasn't, as a woman, I wasn't in control of who I reproduced with. Or if I did, or if I was in control and it turned out that it was false, the guy wasn't what he represented himself as, don't worry. I have recourses. I have fail safes. I have abortion. I have no fault divorce. I have the Duluth model of feminism, all of this great stuff. But what people don't get into is they don't understand the root cause of that is the existential fear of women, or in women, I should say. And that is to reproduce with a guy who isn't what he said he was, and therefore locking her into a lifetime of raising a child of a guy who is a suboptimal hypergamous choice. That right there is the existential fear of women. So what happens is because, like I was just saying a minute ago, because of the intuition, feminine intuition, which is really hypergamous, a hypergamous filter. Because of that, women figure things out. Like you want to know why women are more sensitive to like communications and subcommunications and like innuendos and vocal intonations and facial expressions. And it's no secret that women have a greater facility for communication than men do. Women communicate covertly, men communicate overtly. But as part of that covert communication, she can understand what would an alpha, and even if she isn't quite able to put her finger on it, she just might understand from her hindbrain or subconscious the behaviors that you display and you manifest as a guy tells a lot about you. It tells all kinds of stories. Like guys in the early days in PUA, they would tell you to do these certain things. Like you want to know how like chick crack came around? Chick crack is women's propensity or the proclivity to believe in like metaphysical stuff, like a cross necklace or a little yin yang ring or Bible or do you believe in, part of your game could be like, do you believe in UFOs? Do you believe in ghosts? And that starts the conversation because most women do. Women are fine. I just did the stats of this in book 4. Women are far more religious than men are. And I didn't realize just how much that was until I sort of dug into the stats, the Pew Research stats about like, well, certainly in Western societies anyways, women are way more religious than men. They're more superstitious than men. They're more metaphysical. They believe in more metaphysical things than men. Why? Well, because women are instinct, emotion, and reason. Men are instinct, reason, and then emotion. And so it's very emotional to believe that emotions are like in some way like cosmic or supernatural. And so, but as part of that manifestation, part of the things like I remember when PUAs would tell you to do those things like in some way imply that you believe in like Eastern mysticism, imply that you are a shaman, right? Imply that you have like, why does that work? Because there's that pleasure in the communication aspect that women get into, and as doing that, they see things that most guys don't realize that they're seeing, because most guys are stupid and blunt. And I don't mean stupid in terms of like you're dumb, but I mean like stupid with respect to like unobservant, let's just say. So when a guy like Tanner Guzy writes a book about the appearance of power, and you get guys who go, man, it doesn't matter what a real man doesn't care how he looks, but I can show you example after example after example of how real men, you're damn right they care about how they look and how they present themselves. So one of the things that like PUAs used to do is like wear some nice shoes, wear something that was a prop or peacocking, something that sets you out. It doesn't have to be It doesn't have to be a feather boa or black nail polish or any of that crap. It could just be something really simple that draws the eye somewhere. That's as a conversation starter. It's an icebreaker kind of thing. Why does it work? Because women pick up on that. They understand the nuance. Well, human beings in general are good at pattern recognition, but women, they, as part of their hypergamous filter, they're trying to figure you out from day one, from moment one. And again, I'll say this again, like guys have always said this since the 80s, like a woman knows within the first 5 minutes of meeting you if she's going to bang you. No, she knows within the first 5 minutes whether she's not going to bang you. After that, it's up to you. You can screw it up. Anyway, the sale might be already done, but if you screw it up as a guy, you screwed it up. And how do you do that? Well, you manifest behaviors, you talk about things, you try to explain things just in your mannerisms, just in your speech, just in what you talk about, the topics, the context, everything. You don't realize you're doing it, but they pick up on that. They pick up on the nuances. They pick up on, even if it's just vocal intonations. Maybe you have a lower voice, maybe you have a higher voice. Like you say, oh, that shouldn't matter. People are people. No, it does. That's part of our, well, certainly women's evolved understanding of how to filter out the guys who are sending genuine cues away from the guys who are sending disingenuous cues, or the guys that they simply want to get with. You want to know why Chad Thunderclock, or why you can go on. Here's why those Tinder experiments work. Like the guy who says, I made a fake Tinder profile and I made myself look like like Hansel from Zoolander. Right? I made myself look like Corey Worthington, and I pretended I had a criminal background or something. Why do so many women get after me? And they'll say, well, you just look good. Yeah, well, that's part of when that's all a woman's filter has to go on. Then yeah, if you're going to boil it down, you're going to distill it down to just looks. Then yes, and that's exactly what Tinder does. That's why I argue this point with John from Modern Life Dating all the time is, maybe text works, but it's an imperfect medium. Just like Tinder is an imperfect medium. You can go and craft the perfect profile. I can craft the perfect profile for you right now. You can take your shirt off. Hopefully you look good. I hope you look really, really good, because 90% of that is going to be on your appearance and what she's aroused by, because that's all she has to go on. That's all there is. There's nothing else. The only way to make an emotional impact with a woman online is to show her that you look good, because that's what she's after. She wants that. Women are very visual. I hate it when people say, well, women are not as visual as guys. Guys, they just go to the strip club and jerk off and they're done. Right now, women appreciate the male form. Okay, let's just be honest. If anything, the internet has certainly stripped away that myth. That's part of concealed estrus, actually. But all right. Let me get to you guys. I'm at 137 right now. If I don't get to all of you, you're going to sell me up the river, aren't you? Taboo proves one more time females want control over men. They do, but they want control. Okay, Taboo, here's the thing. It's not that they want control over men. They want control over hypergamy. They want control over their reproductive problem. Because think about it this way. Men are selected when it comes to reproduction. Women are K-selected. And so what that means is they know that they have to invest themselves in the quality of a reproductive partner. Parental investment is a thing. And even if this is just sort of something that's running in the subroutines in their back of their head, they still know this. So their priorities and their goals, their reproductive goals, are different from guys. The guys are selected. So it's like, I want to, nobody's ugly after 2 a.m. Who hasn't gone, slump busting, right? Or chubby chasers and things like that. How is that even attractive? That's what blows me away when women say, oh, you guys just want this unachievable standard of beauty. And like 2 minutes later, you'll see some guy getting popped for like banging a girl who's like 400 pounds. No, doesn't matter. Whatever you tell yourself to make you feel better. But the fact is that guys have a different mating strategy that is often adversarial to women's. So when it comes to the control, men want control over their reproductive strategy, and women want control over their reproductive strategy. So for men, that control might be pornography, right? Because you want to know why pornography is so endemic It's because it's unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, even if it's virtual, even if it's just like the feeling you get, and you get the rush, you get an orgasm, the oxytocin hits your bloodstream, and you go back about your business. For women, it's different because for women, there's a lot of risk involved. There's a lot of risk, at least certainly in our ancestral past, there's a lot of risk involved, because if she made the wrong reproductive choice, it could kill her. Literally, it could kill her. Or it could saddle her to a guy who is not able to protect her, not able to protect the offspring, not able to provide, not as parentally invested. So if she makes a bad decision, it's not just a bad decision for getting laid, it's a bad decision for her life. So do women think about this all when they're at the club and dancing and twerking and everything? No, they don't. They don't think about those things. But it's so important that has to be moved to the periphery of their awareness. It has to be something that's sort of on the root lizard brain level. So when I say, oh, well, women are interested in reproduction, it's not like I'm saying, oh, I'm going to read this book on reproduction and figure out who's a good guy to get with. They don't do that. It's all part of the routine. It's all part of this Darwinistic evolved mental firmware that women have. And so they don't necessarily want control over men, although they would probably like to be able to have access to the highest quality men that they possibly could, which is what they're trying to do socially in a gynocentric social order right now. So when you see like things like Me Too, or you see things like the nebulous, ambiguous definitions of what constitutes rape or sexual assault or all these things, it's basically it's a subjective idea of whatever suits you, and there's no statutes of limitations. We can do whatever we want to when we want to. That's control over hypergamy, and that control can often lead to power over men, yes, but the basis of that is this desire to have complete control over that existential fear. Okay, let us keep going. All right, only questions from here on out, I promise. I promise. And Elon Musk, if you're still watching, you can call me. You can contact me. All my contact information is down there. Beggars can't be choosers. When the bars close, about 10:10 opposite. Yep. No one's ugly after 2 a.m. to guys. Thanks for everything. You changed my view on the world by your book. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you've changed your mind about yourself and about the world. Thank you for your life-changing work. I read all of your books and Robert Greene's. Do you have other suggestions? Do you guys want me to do an episode on like book reviews or like my book suggestions? I think I might just do a blog post and tell you why I think these books are good and are good reads. Not every one that I would suggest would be like a game book, by the way. Please buy my book, read my book. There you go. But beyond that, 48 Laws of Power is a good one. Mastery, I think, is a vital one by Robert Greene. Art of Seduction, good. Take it with a grain of salt, but like people will throw things at me. They'll say, have you read Esther Villar's The Manipulated Man? Oh my gosh. Yeah, she wrote that back in 1974. Things have gotten a whole lot worse since then. But, the basis is true. Ayn Rand, have you read The Fountainhead? No, I haven't read The Fountainhead. I did read Atlas Shrugged, and I understand what it all means. But again, it's not one of my, I wouldn't put that on my list. I would put, what would I put on my list? Gosh. There's a really great book. Well, first of all, I would put Alpha God on any guy who is interested in intersexual dynamics from an evolutionary perspective, and then also like mixing a little bit of religion into that. Hector Garcia, that was a home run for him. I still think he's very feminine trained. He's very blue pill. He's very anti-masculine in his assessments, but in his diagnosis, he's 100% accurate. He's great. The Blank Slate by The Modern Denial of Human Nature by Steven Pinker. Good one. I would also say Dr. Marty Hazelton, Hormonal is a good one. To understand ovulatory shift. Again, another, if you can get past her trying to get her feminist cred, street cred in at every chance, there's a lot of good data in that book that backs up a lot of red pill thinking. Red Queen, Selfish Gene, those are standards. It's been around for forever. I don't know. Those are some ideas anyways. I think what else. There's a really great book, and it's by an author named Kenneth Miller, and it's called Finding Darwin's God. I really like that book. My dad, actually, that was one of the last books my father gave to me before he kind of lost his mind and died. So I like that book a lot. I'm starting to lose my voice. I think I understand why, like, Pat Campbell always, thank you, Garth, for that $24, $25. Much appreciated, Garth Kyle. I tend to, like, I'm starting to feel like, I feel like I have a sore throat, but it's not like a sore throat, like I'm sick. It's like in my voice box. It's like down here. I think maybe Pat would be able to tell me how to, like, rest my voice or something. Let's see, men. Oh, there you go. Men for looks for beauty. Women look for personality. That's a kind of a basic way of saying it, but yeah, I guess so. Let's see. Okay, Neo, I'll get to you in just a second. Let me look at the rest of these that I did not get to. Drape Toman. Did I miss that one? Yeah, I did. Okay, Drape Toman says, the knowledge you bring helps me see the obstacles in the path. Seeing the obstacles makes playing the game more fun. Yes, it does. Sharon. Ramen. Really? Where do you place Justin Timberlake on the alpha beta spectrum? He is popular amongst women, yet he is very feminized and interesting male archetype. Sharon, I'm going to point you to the easiest way for me to answer that, because I'm getting short on time here, is to go to my website, go to therationalmale.com, and then in the search engine, type in Tickle Me Emo. Yes, it is exactly how you would think. Tickle Me Emo. And I talk about how the attraction that, like, sort of emotional guys have, or like why do artists, and why do, like, tortured artists, and why do musicians, and why does what Robert Smith from The Cure, what's the appeal, what's the attraction to those guys? So go check that out. That's actually, rather than me rambling on for another 10 minutes about that, that's probably the best explanation I can give you. NEO says, dump your girlfriend show equals full golden nuggets. Thanks for Mr. Rollo. You are welcome, Mr. NEO. Ryan Sullivan says, long time no see, Rollo super chat. Okay, I did that one. Loki gave me 20 SEKs. I don't know what SEK is, but thank you for that 20, whatever it is. Colin Donnie, $5 says, everything in this book is true and you shouldn't know any of it. Yeah, he's referring to this, if you read I think it was in book 2. I think it was book 2 or book 3. I had a guy tell me one time that his girlfriend found The Rational Male, and she said, give me that. She's going to go read it. It took her about a week to read it. She comes back and she throws it at him and she says, everything in this book is true and you shouldn't know any of it. And I thought that was I put that in the introduction, I think, for book 2 or book 3. Because it sort of, in a nutshell, kind of, it describes playing the game and letting women know about the game. So you shouldn't know any of it. Why would she say something like that? Like, why would any woman not want you to know the red pill? Why would any woman not want you as a guy? Why would she not want you to understand game? Why would a woman not want a man? Why would a woman shame a man? You're an incel. You had to learn how to pick up girls. Why? Why is that a thing? Why is that a social convention? And the reason is because what it does is it helps men thwart the female or the existential problem or existential fear. Because if I teach you how to get around that, if I give you a contingency as one of those 85% guys, one of those guys who doesn't get it, one of those guys who just doesn't get it, he doesn't understand the game, he's betraying himself, and given his natural state, he would probably not be selected for reproduction or anything else by a woman because he doesn't get it. He doesn't play the game right. He doesn't understand her. He doesn't pass the tests. He doesn't do the things that the kind of guy who she'd want to get with would do naturally. But if I come in and I teach that guy, I say, here's how you do that. Ape these behaviors, think like this, change yourself, become a better person, become the best version of yourself. Why do women get threatened by a guy like by Rich Cooper when he's talking about, like, trying to help guys become the best versions of themselves? because it seems disingenuous. It's not authentic. That's not who you really are. You're really a beta and you're acting like an alpha, and you might trick some girl because you know game, because some pickup artist taught you how to get past that. And you know why guys get upset about other guys learning game? Because it puts them ahead in the game. Because they still buy into the idea that if they qualify and if they're the best and if they actually really do the work and they go to law school and they play the game right and they do all these things that the blue pill has conditioned them to believe will get them in there, and a guy comes along and he's just like him, but Rollo Tomassi or RSD or Mystery or whoever, I don't care who it is, whoever your favorite MGTOW coach is, I don't care. He teaches them something that makes them think differently. And it changes who they are fundamentally. And maybe it makes them be able to play the game better and be even naturally, not even like playing the game. They just become something different, and that manifests in their behavior, and it manifests in their speech, and it manifests in what they think about and how they go about their day. Like they've changed themselves. Personality is not static. But that woman that puts the hypergamous filter, that flips it on its ass. And so now she can't tell if this guy is like, remember I said when first 5 minutes, she understands whether she's going to bang you or she's not. She can't tell because maybe you are, maybe you're not. You're showing signs that say that you're beta, but then now you're acting like an alpha, and you're kind of, and she has to figure that out. And you want to know why women get really intrigued by indignation? Because it's that balance. Indignation is in the balance of trying to figure out whether you're for real, if you're really an alpha or you're really a beta. Do you really believe what you're talking about? Or are you just playing a game? Guys will say this all the time. They'll say, I can't keep up the act. I can't keep up the act. Oh, help me. Oh, I can't. Can I just let down my hair, Rollo? Can I just be who I am? And yeah, you can be who you are as soon as you internalize all this. As soon as you become the game, it's not an act. And you're comfortable and your hair's down because that's who you are. That's who you're naturally going. You're going to be able to just get it naturally rather than being an act. The guys who don't get it are the guys who think that it's an act. Think that, well, I just have to behave like this, or I got to think like this, or I got to be an asshole, or I got to have a V-taper, and I got to look like the guy that I made the fake Tinder account if I look like that, but I can't keep it up. Somebody do me jaw surgery. No, you have to internalize it. It has to be. That's why I keep telling you, mental point of origin is the most important part of learning, well, game and red pill. But internalizing game, internalizing the red pill, internalizing all the things that you know and having that become part of your personality, that takes time. There's no magic pill. There's no God mode. There's no practice for that. It's just, well, there's practice. You have to keep practicing, I should say, but there's no quick fix. And that's what pisses guys off. It takes time. It takes time to become a black belt. It takes time to be good at this. It takes time to internalize this. And you know what? When you started as a white belt in whatever martial art you decide you think is the best, when you started out, you were one person. And when you got to the black belt, you were somebody else. Because along the way, along that experience and building, again, read mastery. Along the way, the experiences that built you up made you into somebody else who manifests different behaviors, who manifests different attitudes, who manifests, and you don't even realize you're doing it. You'll just do it. Like guys who are fat and they go into the gym for like a year and they turn into somebody completely different. And the first thing they say is, I can't believe it, man. Women are just all the women who wouldn't have anything to do with me. Now I'm confident and I've become a different person. Yeah. And you know what? And your behavior and your attitude and your mindset and everything else changes along with that because you've become something else and authentically done it. Right? It's not an act. You actually did the work. You have the six pack. You look better. You have pecs, right? I don't know. You did it. Awesome. Fuck yeah. That's what I want you to do. I want you to change yourself. I want it to be authentic because when it's authentic, that's when women pick up on that. That's when you manifest behaviors and you manifest things and not without even realizing you're doing it. You don't have to learn it as an act because it comes naturally to you. That's how you just get it, because that's what women are looking for. They're looking for guys who just get it. They're looking for the guy who didn't have to learn to be masculine. He became the way he is through experience. He understands women. Why? Because he banged 50 girls. Wow. Okay. So he understands. He's had experience with women, and women like him enough. That's pre-selection. That's social proof, right? He's had all these chicks tell me that they want to get with him. But look at him. He's hot. Okay. Well, even if he's not, he's still attractive enough to have had some women that were interested in him. And he manifests behaviors accordingly. And women pick up on that through the hypergamous filter. So women, if you have to be told how to be masculine, you're not the man for her. But if you are masculine and you manifest those behaviors and you didn't have to go to school, you didn't have to go to game, you didn't have to, usually, and I've heard Elliot Hulse talk about this, usually it was a strong masculine alpha father who would teach his son, this is, I don't care what anybody tells you, don't listen to women, listen to what I'm telling you because I've experienced this. I'm giving you this as a model. I know you're going to have to go against the grain. You're going to have to, the whole world is going to tell you, be nice, be blue pill, be this, be that. But I'm telling you to be the opposite and you'll be successful. It'll seem counterintuitive, but this is how it works. You stick to those guns. There's a process of learning. Every guy has to learn to be who they are at some point. And usually they are the result or they are the product of really bad experiences or bad teaching or bad software programming, as I like to call it. So it's like, what has been plugged into your brain? What have you been taught over the course of, like, say you're 25 years old? What have you been taught in 25 years that manifests in your behavior now? What led to your breakup? What led to you not getting it? Probably bad input, bad teachers, bad experiences. I don't mean bad experience. I mean like uneducated, maybe duplicitous experiences. That's another reason why you don't ask women, oh, how do I be a man? How do I get you? Teach me how to get girls, girl. They're not going to teach you that because the women that they would expect you to get with, they know that the other girls in the sisterhood are just like them. They have that same filter. That's why Alexander Grace is doomed to failure. I mean, maybe he'll make some money in the beginning, or guys who just want to whip themselves, right? But they're not going to grow from that. They're not going to become somebody different. There's the real money is in getting guys to beat themselves up. I'm sorry to say, particularly in this day and age on YouTube and in the manosphere and the MGTOW sphere and the black pill sphere, it's getting you to commiserate and getting you to beat yourself up. There's a lot of money in that. And I don't want to see any guy beat themselves up, certainly not unnecessarily. But that's a long. There's your $2 answer, my friend. Spencer says beggars can't be choosers. Okay, I read that one. Feldman says thanks for everything you do. Changed my life. Thank you. Garth, I got to you. NEO, that's where I was. Okay, that's where I left off. If I don't get to you, like I said, Spencer says beggar can't be choosers. Yeah, I got to that one. Put that on there. I did that. Put that on there. I did that. Garth, talked to you already. What is this? Taboo? Yeah, Taboo says, I believe the game, but I do not full display for fear of retribution of society. How to change that? You sack up and stop caring about it so much. I do not display for fear of society. Well, you can live in fear. That's what you want to do. Because when you live in fear, guess what you're going to manifest? If you live in fear, if fear is something, I hate to go all Dune on you because it's one of my favorite books and soon to be a good movie, I hope. But fear is the mind killer, right? If you're going to live your life, are you going to allow fear to influence who your personality is? Because if you are, that's going to manifest in your behaviors. I think that's pretty easy to figure out, my friend. Prepping for tomorrow. Thank you for those $2, my friend. I hope you are prepared for tomorrow. What is this? Thank you for the 10 euros, whatever those are. Let's see. NEO, sorry, I didn't get to you, NEO. He says, hey, Rollo, when I hook up on second date, some women delay meeting up again. Then they contact me 1 to 3 months later. By then, I have moved on. I've nexted them. Recontacting me equals a filibuster. Yes, it does. When a woman goes to you and then she comes back to you, what's the medium? That's the medium is the message, right? What's the medium? The medium is she ghosted on you and she hasn't talked to you in 1 to 3 months, right? Well, something came up. Something was more important than you. Something like not contacting you and not following up, and you weren't enough of an attraction for her to be interested. Now maybe you are because she's out of options, or maybe she wants to pursue that. Do you want to be her leftovers? Probably not. And if you do, guess what? She will think of you as being leftovers. Yeah. Oh, he's okay with being leftovers. So he's the kind of guy who is okay with being a leftover. Don't do that. Yeah, exactly. They're just next, man. Juan Sebastian says, put 2 more pickups in that guitar. No. This is my Frankenstein. This is actually a Kramer Beretta. Oh, not a Beretta. The neck is a Beretta, but the body, it's a Kramer body. I forget what model it is, but this is my one bridge pickup guitar. That's all I needed for this one. I have other ones. I have lots. You guys are probably, it's funny is you don't think I do this, but I do. I look at you guys on, I look at the chat before I go on, and I get like people go, I wonder what guitar he's going to have up on the wall today. I'll go, okay, I got to go switch one out. If I'm late, I'm switching out a guitar. I have 12 guitars, I think. I got my 12 strings right here. My Ibanez bass is behind me. Did I miss anybody else? Sam, thanks for being in the chat today. Thanks for covering all this today again, my friend. For those of you who don't know, Sam Bada is he's always in the chat. He's my moderator. He is the voice of the Rational Male on my Audible books. So send him a shout out or tell him that you like him. That would be very nice. Oops, let's see. Tiger the Brave, I talked to you already. I think there was one that I missed, wasn't there? No, I guess not. I think I got to everybody. Okay, I'm sorry. I got to close out, guys. We're at the 2-hour mark, and I promised I wouldn't go too much over today. Let's just sum this up here real quick. For when it comes to just get it, first of all, go read that chapter or go read that essay. You can read it for free on my blog if you don't want to pay any money for the book, the $9.99. What is it? No, actually, I'm up to $11.99 now. Whatever. It's free. Go check it out. It's something that I'm pretty well known for, is just get it. If you have to learn to be a masculine man, if you have to learn and you're saying, well, I had to learn that, or you're open about it, or you think that open communication is in any way something that's going to make you more attractive, again, get this in your head. Women want to play the game. They don't want to be told they're playing a game. Because if they observing that process changes that process. So guys will ask me, they'll say, well, should I tell my girlfriend, or should I tell this my wife, whatever, that I'm reading your work, or that I'm red pill? And my advice is always no. And I've had people criticize me saying, well, you're trying to be manipulative and secretive. No, I want you to play the game rather than get into explaining things, appealing to reason. Guys who think that I'm saying you should be manipulative or secretive or don't be above board with it when it comes to the red pill and it comes to understanding your women's nature, the reason is because women want to play the game. They don't want to be told they're playing a game. Well, a real man would be overt and tell the truth all the time. That's what a real man does. Well, yeah, but a real man, a lot of the quote unquote real men I've met also think that they should defer to their wife's authority. That's what real men do. No, they don't know how to play the game. That gammas will appeal to women's reason, and guys who don't get it are the guys who are advocating for other guys to appeal to women's reason. Well, they should, again, that goes back to the blank slate, the idea of the blank slate, which is, well, women are just like men, and women, because we're all just the same and we're all blank slate equals, then women should think like men, and therefore she should think like me, and therefore she will be as reasonable and rational as I am. So here's a spreadsheet of all the reasons why I'm the perfect boyfriend and you should get with me. And you know what? She'll go, get out of here, loser. And she'll go and bang Chad. Well, I'm perfect. How come she doesn't appreciate me? Because you're appealing to her reason. You're not playing the game. You are exposing the game. You're talking about the game. How come you never talk about neurolinguistic programming? Because it's kind of an old theory. I'm not saying it doesn't have merit. It does. Neurolinguistic program lawyers actually use neurolinguistic programming quite a bit. What that is it's just like your choice of words. I could say that if I'm asking you, if the cop is asking you, or the lawyer saying, when you smashed and crashed and destroyed the back end of that lady's car, that's one thing. If I say you tapped that lady's car on the bumper, that's a different thing. When you collided. So your choices of words. Ross Jeffries, again, it's old news, way old news. Yeah, you can, sure, your choice of words is important. There you go. There's your recognition. All right, guys, I am going to leave you now because I'm going to see if I can go make a video and appeal to the reason of Elon Musk. Elon, if you're watching this, which you probably aren't now, but I'm coming for you. I will try to help you as best I can. I would very much like to do another one of these videos for Prince Harry as well, but are they going to take me seriously? Are they going to goof on me? Probably, but at least I can say I made the effort. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys got some education, some applicable education about this. What is this? I put link of rule 1 in chat. Okay. So hopefully you guys have learned a little bit more about why it is that you need to play the game as opposed to just talking about the game or appealing to women's reason. No guy has ever reasoned a woman into bed. Also, no guy has ever reasoned a woman into falling in love with him or reasoned a woman to, start a family with him. There's no, those days are over. And so if this is, hopefully this will help you understand just, how particularly, and if there's any takeaway in this, I think what I'd like you guys to remember is that when it comes to like women's existential fears, the reason why they want you to just get it is because they're looking for that accurate information. They want you, it's not enough. Like if you go and you say something, if you say, I'm the best that you could get, that's one that sounds like a sales pitch. That sounds like the behavior of a guy who not only doesn't get it, but is trying to convince her that he is her hypergamous, like trying to get, like overtly trying to get past her hypergamous filter. Whereas, like I said before, never deny a woman the pleasure of trying to figure you out. It's one of my iron rules. I think it's iron rule number 7. Never help a woman figure out, here it is. Always let a woman figure out for herself why she won't have sex with you. Don't do it for her. Too many guys do it for her because they're trying to explain why. Oh, I'd be great for you. I've had lots of sex partners. How come, any woman would be great, like would want to get me. It's like the sales thing, but it's different because you're trying to sell yourself as her the solution to her reproductive problem. And she doesn't, that's not how women come to sex. That's not how women come to emotional investment. They come to that by playing the game, not by you saying, hey, you need to do what I tell you, or keeping spreadsheets, right? Here's why I'm the perfect guy. That's never going to work. But what will work is if you're natural, if you naturally know how to play the game, if you just get it. Women will say that all the time. I wish men would just get it. What do they mean when they say that? They want a guy who's going to pass their tests without having to be like, without having them to want to punch you in the face for opening up the game, for explaining the game to her that she just wants to play. Because when she's filtering for you, when her feminine intuition is not based in reason, it's based in emotion. So there you go. All right, guys. I hope you guys like this, and that's what I want you guys to take away. Let's see. I will be back on Wednesday. I think I'm going to do 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock seems to be the time you guys like this show the best. I don't know if I'm going to do an interview yet, but just follow my Twitter feed. You'll get an idea. If you haven't subscribed, please do. If you want to support this show, all of the support links are in the description, as always. Bitcoin, PayPal, just buy a book, man. Pass it on to somebody. Even if you got it already, just like give it to somebody who you think needs it. Pass it on. always been my message. And if you don't want to make a financial contribution, that's fine. I'll always be happy with like a 5-star review on Amazon, or just tell your friends, or link this video in Twitter or wherever you are on social media. Okay. So that helps me out a lot. Actually, that helps me out almost more than anything else, is if you just spread the word. So, all right, guys, thanks for this. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Good show. Bye-bye.